My name is Randi Stroh. I'm a master of music, and I'm artist and owner of the Circle of Time. I discovered when I was 4 or 5 years old that I loved music, and I gravitated to it right immediately, and very quickly realized I had some talents and I wanted to learn more. So that jump-started me on. It was always my favorite subject in school and my favorite thing to do. So that's when it all started. It really took off in high school when I had an excellent music education and opportunities there to do lots of things in music, and that's when it began to solidify me in my mind that I was really headed in that direction. It's kind of all evolved throughout my career and throughout my life. There have been times when it's absolutely central to everything I do. I've done lots of other things as well that aren't always necessarily music-oriented, but music is always at the center of my life, and it needs to be at the center of my life. And so it's an evolving, realizing that I really am a musician has been an evolving process over a long period of time. Music as an art form is a very wonderful question. It is, first of all, it is an auditory art. It is based on hearing and listening, unless you're studying it off the page. But as we experience it, as we hear it, that is central to it. So it is fundamentally a listening art. And I think that that's true for both the performer and the listener. And it is essential that listening well be a component of the experience. I also believe that that has other dimensions to teach us to be good listeners. I think has a lot of other benefits for us and for our society. So I think music it offers that opportunity to broaden your exposure to other things. It is the music I play is most of what I play is called classical music, and classical music it does relate, has many meanings. It does relate to a period of time, but it also, in my opinion, relates to an attitude and an aesthetic about the music. And an example for me is, of all the people that there are hundreds and hundreds and thousands probably of people who play music now, over history time, only a few are going to really last into history, just like it was in the classical music period in the 17th, 18th, and 19th century. It was only a few are going to last, and what is going to make those people last? And a very clear example for me is Bob Dylan. I think Bob Dylan will go down in history as a classical artist, and it has to do with the forms and the structures over time. It has to do with the attitude that the music brings. There are various dimensions to that, but classical music is not just a period, it's being created now. And in general, I think music is, every culture in the world has it. There are many versions of it in every culture of the world, and that has always been true. So it is an entirely evolving, as all art forms are really, but in some ways music is more immediate because we hear it in our environments all the time. So it's a constantly evolving art form, and in my opinion it has infinite possibilities. So variations on a theme for me, which is also a musical term, it's an actual compositional term, but variations on a theme for me means that I started first playing the piano. I have done many things in music and in the arts in general. I've done arts administration, I've done music criticism, I've been teaching, I've done lots of different things, and that's the variation on the theme. There's always a central intention and purpose. It always comes back to me, circles back around to piano performance. So that's the sort of central thread, but it's kind of taken a lot of different paths, and that is what the variations on a theme mean. And that continues right now to this day, and it will continue. I would also say the chamber music that I've done is, where I'm the pianist, is also been very, very interesting, and that's taken a lot of forms too, with either singers or cellos and violins and lots of other instruments. But it's that the making music with a group of people, and my experience is mostly with small groups of people, is a very rewarding experience. And that it's sort of something that's organically created by all the players, and so that's been a very interesting part of my journey. And then as my solo career, which is basically the path I've been on now for several years, was a performance a round of performances I did. I think it was 2008, playing a group of Beethoven sonatas. So I tend to put, not always, but I tend to put themes around my solo recitals. I don't necessarily say it that way, but I choose them carefully. So the one I'm working on now was a program I did in this winter, and I will do many more times in the next coming months. Was chosen very carefully for a variety of reasons. So I like the process also of creating the program, not just playing the pieces, but what's the program, what's the message of the program. My influences in music are many, but I would say I had two very, very, very life-changing teachers in high school. One was my piano teacher named Greta Sultan, and one was my choral and composition and theory teacher named Jack Pierpont, and they were both, as I say, life-changing for me. In the modern world, I think in our music today, our music culture today, the person that really stands out for me is Joan Baez. And she stands out for me. She's a role model for me. I definitely consider her one of my most important role models. And it's not just her talent, it's what she did with her talent. She always was using it for other purposes, to try to create the political or the social situations that were important to her. So it was bigger than her. Even though she has such a soaring talent, it was bigger than her. And that's a value I very much appreciate and share. It's that this is not just about me, everything I do. So, and she also is an example of a person who just stayed true. She stayed on her true path her whole entire life. She never sold out. She always knew what she was about. She knew what her core was, what her principles were, and she lived it. She's just a beautiful example of that, in my opinion. So she stands out for me. And then the other person that I would mention is my great-grandmother, Irene Seldenridge, who moved to Colorado from Wisconsin in the 1870s, and they were homesteaders, and she was a singer, and they settled in Colorado Springs, and she was a singer, and she brought that with her from the frontier and built that in the Colorado Springs community, and she's also, to the degree I have music talent, it comes down the mother's side of my family. So she would live till I was 10, but I never really met her. But my mother and she were in touch. So it was, her spirit has been an influence on me. And I'm very happy to be a fifth generation Coloradan. She's a first generation and I'm a fifth. I would say that. If you're thinking about branching into music as a career, or even exploring whether you want to head down that path as a career, follow what matters to you the most. What is it about music that draws you, that either you're doing it or you're thinking about doing it? What is it? And stay true to that. That's what your heart is telling you. And either go down that path far enough to find out if it's the right path, or go down that path. and you can always change your path going forward, but start with something that you really want to do. And do whatever form that takes, whether it takes going to school, whether it takes, playing with other people, whatever it takes. But do it enough to know whether you're really on the right path. Don't just dabble, just do it. And then if it turns out that you do want to go down that path, then you have to commit to it. You will at some point have to decide yes or no, but if you decide yes, then you will have to commit to it. And that can take many forms too. And you have to have trust. You have to have faith that if you do it, the right things will happen for you. If you do the right things will happen for you. So I say go for it, if that's what you really think you want to do. Yeah. And so you can always change the path. I've changed the path many times. But I always have known that it was music that was going to be the center of the path. The one experience I've had that's taught me the most is actually a decision that I made a long time ago, which was I was going to live my life as an expanding universe, not a contracting one, as I got older. So I made that decision in my 30s, a long time ago, and it takes some discipline to stay on that path, but it has opened door after door after door after door, revelation after revelation after revelation, possibilities that I wouldn't have thought if I didn't have that attitude would come. It's looking forward, not back. That has changed my life. That experience of living that point of view about life has been the most important thing I've done. Carnegie Hall. When Carnegie Hall turned 100 years old in 1891, it started in 1891, it opened in 1891. In 1991, it was the 100th anniversary, and I went to that concert, that show. And to me, Carnegie Hall is obviously a very sacred place in classical music, and now they're expanding out from classical music, but it's such a piece of history, and such a piece of New York history, and such a piece of music history that was a very satisfying event for me to be at. I also think that a piece of work I've done recently is going to be a piece of Colorado history, and I just rotated off the board of directors in Crested Butte, Colorado, which is in the central part of the state, and we just created a brand new state-of-the-art arts center, performing arts center, and teaching arts center, and that was a big project, a complicated, difficult project, and I think I'm very satisfied with my work on that. I do believe that it will go down as a very important cultural piece of Colorado. Well, this has been a lovely, wonderful opportunity for me, and I'm very grateful for it. Marquis sought me out. They found me. It's been just so helpful to me to have objective people look at me and look at my what I've done over this long period of time and recognize it, acknowledge it, and support it. So I've benefited from working with the quality of this team. That's really an honest statement. That I think it's a great organization, and everybody that I've worked with, and there are a lot of people now because I've been doing this for maybe 3 or 4 years with Marquis, and they've been wonderful to work with, and it's totally supportive of me. So that's been a great benefit, and it's sort of laying a foundation. It's helped me clarify in my own mind what my next steps are going to be, sort of summing up everything that's happened till now. So where am I going to go now? So it's helped me very much clarify that and see where I'm going.